Um, Lisa, I thought I'll ask you about something quite personal, and I know
Yeah.
it's also um, a sensitive topic could be for a lot of people.
Ah.
Um, but I feel kind of brave enough to ask you about it today.
Yeah,
Um,
just before you do it,
yes,
just become conscious of your trauma level, like not to push yourself over your trauma level and push yourself into trauma. Like I don't want to, for this to be negative for anyone. And sometimes, when it's something very personal, we can go a bit too far and then it's a bit traumatizing for ourselves.
I
So
understand.
yeah, so
Okay,
just be conscious if you begin to get that wobbly trauma feeling in your
okay.
body and
Thank
just
you.
tell
Thank you
me.
for
And
picking up on that because
yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, good.
Yes. So I thought I'll ask you about something. I was trying to think what is the best phrasing just to keep it, very succinct.
Yeah.
Uh, Basically, unplanned childlessness.
Sorry,
Infertility.
unplanned.
Yeah, infertility, in other words.
All right, yeah.
So, long story short, just something I've been identifying with for many years, meaning this idea of becoming a mother.
Mm.
And I feel like I got to the point where um, the momentum is gone because my energy, enthusiasm towards, trying and all the strength towards it kind of diminished, and
Mm.
my priorities have changed. And I
Mm.
see that as a positive thing and an opening to maybe, learn something from it and open to other things.
Mm.
But at the same time, I feel like it was such a huge burden in a way, being identified with that person who so wanted to become a mom.
Mm.
And and it's a difficult thing to talk about. But at the same time, I feel like it really is bringing up so many opportunities for me because
Mm.
I feel like I have no other choice but to um, move forward
Yeah,
because I
yeah, yeah,
want to move past it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
I
totally.
feel like there's opportunities to explore life differently,
Mm.
and I just want to don't want to be identified with that anymore. Just want to enjoy my life and be
Mm.
free. You know?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to any belief that you have, except this one is more primal, but any belief that you have in your thoughts of something that will make you happy. So so if we went back to this is very simplistic, but if we went back to Khaleesi, my dog, she hasn't got the ability to imagine whether she wants babies or not. Something that I really love actually about Khaleesi, if we just put it more simply, is that when I take her to hotels, which is quite often, I travel. I used to travel a lot, not so much anymore, and I travel by car, and we would stay in a hotel. And something that I found so impressive is that we'd arrive at the hotel. The routine was I'd put her bed down, I would put my stuff in, I would give her food, and then normally I'd either go down to the bar and eat, or if they had a spa, I would go and swim or go into the spa. And what impressed me was her ability to go into the room and be like, this is home now. Like she had no idea that where she was. She didn't know, like, say she's in Paris or that she's in Europe or that I'm coming back or not coming back because she doesn't have the ability to think. She just is like she goes in there and she's got my smell, which is like that's how it works in dogs. Like she's got my smell, so therefore it's home. But she doesn't know at all what is home. Like she doesn't have any thoughts about that. So she's just like the routine is I eat my dinner and then I go for a nap and then Lisa comes back. But she doesn't even have the ability to think about it. She just does that. So she's in the middle of nowhere in absolute relaxation. She's in the middle of not knowing and there's deep relaxation. So, like, I know this sounds a bit abstracted, like, why am I talking about this in relation to kids? But it's the same with, like, Khaleesi with babies. Like, Khaleesi's never going to have babies because I gave her that operation.
Mm-hmm.
So she can't have babies. But she doesn't have the ability to imagine having babies or not having babies. And that is part of our beauty and part of our great suffering as humans is you have the ability to imagine having it and not having it. And then
Yeah.
there is a you that can have it or not have it. And this is a difference that we have as opposed to animals is that we can imagine what is not here. and this is tremendous suffering for us, it's also tremendous creativity. We can do amazing things through realizing what is not here, but it's illusory. It's illusory, this idea of what's not here. It's also illusory that you had any choice in the matter of having a child or not having a child.
Yeah.
But what great suffering that idea is the belief that you have a choice, and the belief that you could or have had a child and that your life could have been different.
True. It's difficult, and it seems like I've done everything I could towards that, and I still failed. That's the gist, you know.
Yeah, and you absolutely didn't fail. You didn't fail at all. That's I'm sure gives you such a kick, the idea that you've tried everything and you failed. Like that.
And you know, and the energy that was put into it was like a long-term project that eventually, like everybody seems to say, it's going to pay off. But now I'm at the point where I just, for my own mental health, I feel like the right thing, and really feels right, to put it down. Just park it already and just enjoy my life the way it is, without imagining what it could be.
Yeah, definitely. That is the suffering. That doesn't mean that you have to necessarily park it, but it's that energy, I understand, that is attached to the idea of having a child in the future.
Yes.
Like this idea, and like that is complete suffering, that part. There is going to be the natural urge to have kids for most people. Like that is a very natural urge. Like Khaleesi, given the opportunity, she would breed. Like, she would breed many times. I see her getting very into that idea.
Do you mind me asking, have you ever felt something similar?
To wanting kids?
Yes.
Not really. Not really. Maybe when I was a child, but that's nothing to do with spirituality at all. Like that's nothing. So that was prior to me ever getting into this subject, that I was already quite convinced, you know, by the age of 17, 18, that I didn't want kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like, so sometimes, you know, I have that broody feeling, you know, when you're holding somebody else's baby or they're describing, you know, beautiful, there's like a bit of a broody feeling. And you know, sometimes when you're making love as well, there's a broody feeling arising, you know, like,
yeah. Oh,
you know, not a broody feeling, but a feeling of like the body, you can feel the body wants to get pregnant. That's maybe a bit too intimate to share. I'm telling you about being careful. Going for it. Yeah,
no,
so
this is where I would like to be at. Just not have it as a problem.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm not really, I feel I'm at the point that I understand that it's not having a child that's causing me that will make me happy now. I'm not even sure if I want it anymore. It's just the attachment to this idea that was draining my energy for so long. And I didn't realize that there could be another way until, you know, I basically crashed it in some sort of way, because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, totally. And it's I can imagine that that's a massive attachment for many women.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying in any way don't do it. Like, I'm not saying not having kids is the right way or having kids is the wrong way. In any way, it's just a massive attachment and identification, most probably for women, and maybe a lot of men, but maybe more for women. This idea of being a mother. And I can imagine it's painful that didn't manifest, but it's not your happiness.
No.
It's never going to be your happiness. Your happiness is always this moment, is always what's happening, is always this consciousness which is experiencing itself. That is not your freedom. It's such terrible suffering when we hold on to anything that we believe is in freedom in time. Because all of us experience, you know, things that we would like to happen, and then life gives what it gives. Like, and maybe sometimes that you can say there's blocks in ourself and you can undo blocks and then things come. But even what is the self and what is the world, that's even irrelevant. all of us, including myself, experience situations which you would prefer not to happen. Like, I would prefer there not to be another lockdown coming in Europe, but I think there's another lockdown coming. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would, but it's not our happiness. If that's what happens, it's total surrender to what's happening, but just nobody's surrender. This is your freedom, this absolute conviction, but nobody's conviction, this deep knowing that it's always this moment. It's always the sounds, the sights, the feelings of what's happening.
Yes, whatever we do, we always have to go back to that.
Yeah.
We want freedom, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always, no matter where we run to, that's all we ever have. You know,
Yes.
if you run to the moon or the other side of the planet or whatever you try to do or hide in your bed, it's always this moment what we're left with. Not objects, not things, not people, not emotions, not sensations. It's this moment.
Absolutely. And whatever the desires are, or, you know, the ventures, the things that we want, there's always, yeah, whatever it is for, we all have different ideas and different attachments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. That is very intimate. I really appreciate it. And you did it a very nice way, not going too much, because I'm sure there is still trauma in there from that.
I think there is, but I feel like I am on the other side of it
Oh,
in a
nice.
way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of closing the door behind me
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
It really feels good,
Yeah.
and I think it's given me a different perspective, which I
Yeah.
obviously very much needed.
Yeah.
You know, because that's all we have, just
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
and it's
Just this.
fascinating, exciting in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolute infinite possibilities. That's all we've ever wanted, is the infinite possibilities. You know,
Yes.
remember as a kid when you look at the tree and it's just wonder.
Yes.
Anything can happen. Anything
Yeah.
can happen.
And you know, just being in that dark mood about it, just felt it's not me. I don't want to be that person, but it
Yeah.
did feel so constricted, even to the point where I would be dreading, for example, meeting a friend who's pregnant, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just felt so, oh, I don't want to be like that. It's just not
Yeah.
me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel more at ease with those kind of situations, but it took a lot of work. So I feel like it gave me a gift. This whole thing
Mm.
gave me a gift in a way, because it's my way of finding myself, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
through
totally.
the trauma, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's the human experience, I guess.
Yeah, it is always. It's, I mean, like, that's part of the Buddha's teaching, is that you can only really know this once you've really suffered. Because, like, the theory is like, prior to suffering, you always believe that there's something in life that will free you. But when you've really suffered, you really begin to perceive, like, when you really know suffering, that life will never give you freedom. Like, you really begin to understand the flow and ebb of life. That, you know, you can have this beautiful dream, or you could have a child and then the child dies. You know, that's like life.
Yeah,
There's nothing you can hold on to in this life.
that's right. And there's this little bit of funny feeling, like, could it be that simple? Could it be just that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, really? Oh, duh. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you and everything
Yeah.
you do. I
Well,
love listening to you. And I really felt like today, you know, I could brave myself and ask this question.
yeah.
And thanks for answering.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. Really beautiful. Yeah.
Love you, Lisa.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.